Hello and good evening. And with me is Dr. Prithviraj P. He's not only All India Merit List 1, but Common Merit List 1 as well. AIMS Merit List as well as Common Merit List Rank 1. And he is from AIMS, so he intends to be pursuing in a continuity cardiology from the same institute. Welcome and congratulations. This is a grand success, topping both the lists, both the AIMS and the Common Merit List, Dr. Prithviraj.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I'm very happy. Like I was not expecting the result to come today. Like I was actually this is in between my the practical exams for my MD. So
I
like
know
yeah,
I
it
was
came in
told that
between
it's your practical exam due, and I'm so thankful and
yeah.
glad that you could actually squeeze in 10 minutes for the interview today because tomorrow it was not suitable for me. But we always wanted your success story to go first for everyone who's looking forward to hear from you how to prepare. So let's go. I mean, you did
Yes,
your UGPT from Prithviraj, from where
yes, sir.
you
So
undergraduate
I'm from
postgraduate done.
Tamil Nadu, sir. I'm from Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. So I've done my UG from Government Medical College, Coimbatore Medical College in Coimbatore. And then after that, I'm actually doing my MD medicine in AIMS Delhi. Yes, sir.
So that's the continuity that I was talking about, MD medicine and DM cardiology from AIMS. So that's a wonderful achievement, and I'm really proud of you. So Dr. Prithviraj, can you tell me how did you decide to take cardiology? When was it, and how was your strategy from MD medicine onwards to plan for INISS or pursue cardiology at AIMS in continuity with your MD medicine?
Yes. So I like after like when I took my MD medicine, I was not sure like what I want to do in the future. So at that point of time, I was only sure that I'll do my MD medicine. And then once I got into MD medicine, uh, it quickly became clear that I wanted to do something with interventions. So like during my initial like my first and second sim, it was always between either cardio versus gastro, but then that
Okay.
time we were not exposed to these postings. And then around the third sim, that is my second year, we got exposed to the postings, the peripheral postings. And then it became clear that like I wanted to pursue cardiology. I'd always had my interest in cardiology from before itself, but then once I got to see like how they're working on a day-to-day basis and what the daily life of the cardiology SR entails, and also and then after that, I went back and then started doing some research into what are the prospects of cardiology and how the field is currently. So, and then it became quite clear, like around the middle of my second year, I decided to take up cardiology. So once I decided this, then started my plan for preparation. So I was reading, like I was not able to read my Harrison for MD like during my first sem because it was very hectic. And after the first sem, like when we started having these periphery postings and slightly when the postings became slightly freer, we usually start reading Harrison. So I had
Okay.
started my Harrison preparation around the second semester, that is after 6 months.
Okay.
And then cardiology, like once I decided to take cardiology around the middle of my second year, and then I started. First, I purchased Bronwell. Like I was not sure whether I'll be able to read it or not. I just wanted to buy the book and just see how the book is. So I just bought it. I did not have time to read it, but then I bought the books around the middle of my second year. And then I had at the same time, like I thought I'll subscribe to the platforms because I thought the platforms are a simpler way to get into a DM subject, because we the directly getting into Brownwald I thought was difficult. So I subscribed to the platforms, and then the online platforms, and then I started seeing the videos and then preparing based on the platforms. And then somewhere in between, like my seniors were also had already taken cardiology from who are my medicine seniors. So like I'd spoken to them, and then they had also told that it is necessary to read at least some part of Brownwald. So
Right.
around the third or fourth sem, I had like opened my Brownwell book, and then like once I read like a few topics which were relevant in medicine also, it felt that it was not impossible to read. It was a simple book to read. It was the read was a pleasant read. So I continued reading Brownwell during my second year also. So after that, I have more or less covered around. I was able to cover around 60 to 70% of Brownwell by I would say the last before the last 6 months. So
Okay.
I was able to cover that, sir. Yeah.
Right. I think you mentioned a very important aspect that I mean a lot of people actually end up by the Brunwalds or the specialty book for the sake of buying it, but actually it shows their subconscious intent. So that actually is something that drives you. So it's not
Mm.
that just for the heck of it you bought it.
Yes.
Subconsciously you wanted to pursue it, and that's
Yes.
the same story. I'm vouching for my 25 years back when I also probably bought it for the sake of buying it in first year, but I knew that this is where I'm headed. So that story stays common. So Dr. Prithviraj was actually full course subscriber. He not only was subscribed to the videos and to the Q Bank as well as the Grant Test series, but also was part of the WhatsApp group and also appeared for the mock interviews. But when you read 70% of Grunwald, people say when you do 70% Grunwald and then you also do full Harrison, usually you
Mm.
end up diluting the other parts of medicine. Was that the case, or you could still balance it out, like in
Um,
neurology or nephrology, which are so important topics? Then you feel
yes.
that you've not done adequate of Vicar stuff or
Mm.
your
Um,
neurology book.
Yes, sir. So, other than cardiology, I was not able to read the DM books of other fields, like for example, neurology or nephrology. But I always felt that Harrison does a good job in covering the
Absolutely.
medicine aspects. It is more than enough, I feel, for the MD medicine part, sir. I've read Harrison once, so I think that is more than enough for the other medicine subjects. It is definitely more than enough for our exams, as well as
Absolutely.
in the general knowledge aspect also. I think Harrison is good enough. The only thing is it takes some time to read, and also we'll have to revise it once. But I did not have time to go through the DM books of other subjects. So I've
True.
read cardiology, but then I've not. Yes, sir.
Correct. So the 70% of Brunwald, was it topic specific, which are the important clinical topic related? For example, ACS, like it's like 400,
Mm,
500 pages, and you get
mm,
4 or 5 question max. That's like one
mm,
question per page,
yeah,
per 100 page that you are reading. Compare, say,
mm,
this with topics like clinical examination. You have 20, 25 pages, and you'll end up with 2 or 3 questions. So, which is like one question per 10 page. So that's a high
um,
yield important, and that's
mm,
high clinical practice, but not so high yield,
yes.
but important. How did you discriminate or balance between the two, and
Um,
how much of that diagram table flowchart only strategy
yes.
also was utilized in Brunwald?
So, yes, so I actually didn't know that we'll get only 4 questions from ACS or anything. I did not actually see the question paper. I started seeing these question papers in past years, I think only the last 6 months. So before that, I was
Okay,
not aware of this. I just used to read topics which I felt was important. So
okay,
I think I remember starting from ACS only. So I started from
absolutely.
the ACS
Everybody does
chapter,
that. Yeah,
the STEMI chapter and the NST ACS chapter. And after that, I
right.
went into valvular heart disease because I felt that that was more towards a medicine thing. So I read the ACS chapters first, and then I went into valvular heart disease. And then after that, sorry, yeah. So after that,
Definitely.
yeah. So after that, I went into the clinical examination chapters, like initial 2 3 chapters. But then after, like I didn't know that certain chapters are very high yield. I got to know that pregnancy is very important, and also the clinical examination chapters as well as,
Examination.
yeah. So those chapters are actually very high yield. So I would suggest that depending upon the time when we start reading Braunwald, we'll have to change our strategy. Like if
Absolutely.
a person starts from the middle of second year or something, I think they have more than enough time to read leisurely. Like I was actually like when I started reading, it was never about the time. I just kept on just slowly reading whatever
Yeah.
was possible.
I
And but for
remember
person,
sharing that
yes,
high yield list probably a month prior to the exams in the
yes,
WhatsApp group. You remember that? So there was 20 topics that I shared, but I believe that meant to be for the next batch rather than your batch because it's only 1 month left.
yeah. It takes time,
That
so it
important
takes time.
20 topics.
Yeah. So actually, one difficulty which I faced with Braunwald was that before the end of the 6 months, I had like completed around 60 to 70% of Braunwald, and now the only difficulty was to revise these chapters again
Absolutely.
before the exam because it was such a huge chunk of portion. Like I was not able to. I felt it very difficult to cover it like before the exam. So that was actually slightly difficult only. But then I somehow like I spent some more time on that. But then that is slightly on the difficult side. I would
Right.
suggest that in this aspect, maybe the notes of the online platforms would be helpful because, like, ultimately we retain the notes better with the baseline knowledge of Brownwood. Yes.
Right. And so when were you actually targeting the grant tests and the Q bank? So, and what was your strategy? Well, there are two
Mhm.
strategies students
Yes.
adopt. I was discussing with the other successful candidates and been doing in past as well. Students have two approach. They first do a grant test, see where they stand, what are their strengths and weaknesses, go back to QBank, target their weaknesses, revise their strengths. So amount of time they divide in a retrospective manner. The other is a prospective manner. You first finish your whole QBank, go to grant test, see where you stand, and then come back and revise your weaknesses. So what was your strategy?
Yes, so I actually, I think I did it in both ways. Like what I did was like when I started my preparation, just to have an idea of what the exam actually is. Like around the middle of my second year, I just gave one grand test before my preparation itself. That was just to get an idea of what the exam actually is and how many questions are coming in cardio and medicine. So that was one grand test, which was in isolation. After that, I did not do grand tests. Like I was more
Okay.
focused on the Q bank aspect only. Like I used to read a chapter in Brownwald, and then I used to do the Q bank of that particular chapter only. So I used to read
Okay.
the book first, the theory part first, and then after that, just to check how I've read, like, and then I used to do the Q bank, and then I got back to the grand test. Like, I think 6 months before the exam, I started doing them actively. Before that, I have not done grand test. Like, I have done
Yeah.
one in the beginning and then one in between. I think so. That's all.
Okay. So that's a good strategy. I mean, as they say in psychology, a PQRST technique, preview, question, read, summarize, and test. So test comes at the end. You need to preview the topic, question the topic, read the topic, summarize the topic, and test. So that's a good strategy in subjectives that are descriptive in nature, like medicine and cardiology, where you need to do. Okay. So you were also part of the WhatsApp group. I mean, a lot of people actually talk about that WhatsApp groups are maybe sometimes distraction, maybe sometimes they're demotivating. As soon as I posted your rank, couple of students will get demotivated and quit the group. Many of them have congratulated as well. So I mean, you were part of the WhatsApp group. I also saw you interactive, posting answers in the poll questions. I would see your poll in one or the other group. How do you think in the era of technology and communication, where you have so many of bombardment of knowledges to filter out, and how much was the WhatsApp group that you are part of, which is a free group for everyone, was in terms of interaction, motivation, and learning helpful for you?
Yes, it was very helpful, sir. Like it was very helpful. Like whatever you had posted in the group, I used to look at them in between my medicine postings and whenever I had time. So that was very helpful. And yes, so I used to see the group in between my postings whenever I had time. So because it was there in my phone. So yes, so that was helpful. And towards the end, also it was very helpful from a motivation point of view, as well as. The I think there was a very important group, the mock interview group. That mock
Yes,
interview group was towards the end, like because we had no idea like how the interview would
how the
be.
interview is
So
done.
that turned out to be very helpful. And yes, so the mock interview, I attended the mock interview also. So I think that happened like 1 or 2 days before the actual interview.
Correct.
So the mock interview was, I mainly felt that it was a stress, like it broke the anxiety, or
Barriers, stress, anxiety.
the, the that anxiety wala, that thing was decreased drastically after the mock interview. Even though, like, I think you had asked a lot of tough questions in that mock interview, but I felt that that was very helpful towards my actual interview, because the questions they asked in my actual interview was so
Were very
simple. Like,
simple.
it was not even uh, we cannot even compare the difficulty level of the questions in the actual interview with the mock interview. So the mock
Right.
interview is very helpful. So
Right. And also mock I do is like 60 students. So whosoever appear first gets the easier one. And then I remember you appearing like in
yes,
the
I
middle and
was
the
in the
later part.
last.
So the
Yeah,
question levels keep
so it
going up and
was
I don't repeat
moving. The
questions.
difficulty level
So
was very
everybody
great.
listens to all questions and you get a big question bank of mock interviews. But I
Yeah,
believe,
yeah,
I mean, like I was talking to the other candidates, practically all questions were from mock interviews, right? Whatever questions I had
yeah,
asked to the
yeah,
other students,
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
also helped you. Is that
I
correct?
remember I remember the questions they asked me was there in the mock interview, and it was a very simple question. Like, I felt the challenge in answering those questions was to not get anxious during that point of time, and to just
Absolutely.
think simply, and then to, like, they were mostly asking for approach based questions. I remember
Absolutely.
them asking accelerated hypertension to me, as well as just chest pain with a normal ECG with hemodynamic
ECG,
instability. So it was
Minoka. Uh,
it was like a simple level questions. And the last question was, I think, congenital heart. They were asking the treatment of a ventricular septal defect, and they were asking when will you do surgery, when will you not do surgery.
No,
So
this
simple
is
questions they ask. So, and one was a thesis based question. Just four
right.
questions were asked.
Which I
So
always tell. First question is always thesis
yeah,
based.
yeah.
I ask you,
So
which may be the last of
I
all,
was so
but there will
prepared
always
for
be
the
one question on your
yeah.
thesis.
I was so prepared for the thesis question. Like it is like a the initial question is like a way to get into the flow. So once we get
Right.
into the flow, I think the confidence also builds up, and by the time we go into the second question, our mindset is also good, and so it just goes from that. I got like I think I got 19 out of 20 in that interview. It was very
Absolutely. Must have.
nice. So yeah, so it
Yeah.
was very helpful to my overall.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, how do you then, out of 19 out of 20 in interviews, how many marks do you want to give out of 20 to me as a faculty and out of 20 to Dr. Tutorials?
uh, just for breaking the anxiety, I'll give like 10 or maybe 10 or 15 marks just for the anxiety, because I think like I had the baseline knowledge to answer those questions previously also, but then the previous exposure and the practice helped me a lot, the talking
No.
practice
So you're
before.
saying 10, 15 marks are our credit. I'm not asking that. I'm asking rate us out of 20.
Okay.
So as a faculty, how many marks do I get for your scoring out of 20 and how much Dr. Tutorial gets out of 20 as an app?
Yes, so yeah, the whole interview exercise which happened that
Not just
day,
the interview, the whole preparation and the mentorship.
I'll give full marks. Yeah, like 20 out of 20 for you as well as the platform, because it was
Thank you
helpful.
very much. So, any closing tips that you want to give with small closing tips to all students looking forward to prepare
Yes, sir.
now in their final year for next year's INISS? What should their approach be so that they can actually crack the exam just like you did,
Yes,
maybe
sir.
in top three or top?
So yes, so I think the ideal situation would be to decide your course during the middle of your MD course, such that you have a long time to prepare. If you've not decided by that time, if you're deciding in a later time, then I think the strategy should change, and then you won't be able to read the whole Braunwald. At that point of time, you can still read Braunwald, the important chapters, which I think are already there in the groups. So those important topics are very high yield. So if you're preparing from a later, you're starting preparation from a later date, I think it's important to focus on the key topics and just don't leave Braunwald, because they ask questions directly from Braunwald.
Absolutely.
Like sentence to
Absolutely.
sentence, they ask from Braunwald. So I think at least for the important topics, we need to go to Braunwald, and then revision is key as it is for all entrance exams. So I think before the exam, at least 15 days will be required for a proper solid revision, and then try to do grand test after your preparation. Before your revision, start going into grand tests. At least do like 3 to 4 grand tests would be ideal, so before the actual exam, because we get to know that what are they asking, and then where we stand and where are we weak. So for example, are we weak in the medicine part or the cardio part, and in cardio part, like what are we not able to recall, so that we'll be able to revise them slightly better. So I would say that the strategy will depend upon the time of starting of preparation, and the we have to stick to our sources. Always give more importance for revision, and try to do at least 3 or 4 grand tests before the exam. Yes, sir.
So that was Dr. Prithviraj P, All India Common Merit List Rank 1, AIMS Merit List Rank 1 for INISS October 24. You can call it Jan 25. That's the batch 24-25 that he stopped. And congratulations. And I wish you all the best. And I'm always there as a mentor whenever you need me to support you in whichever way I can be of value. This doesn't end here, it begins here. That's what I want to convey to you. So,
Thank you.
congratulations and looking forward to stay connected with you. Best wishes.
Yes, sir.
Take care and bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Enjoy and celebrate your success after your practical exams
Yeah.
tomorrow. Best wishes.
Yes.
Thank you for taking
Thank you.
out time for the before exams and actually valuing and showing us that you value this before your
Yes.
practical exam. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye
Thank you,
bye,
sir.
Prithvi.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.